If you think that your workplace may be making you sick, well, you're probably right. A new study unearthed the truth about the germs, the bacteria, the viruses you work with every day, and the results are not pretty. Take a look at the germiest jobs from the top. Teachers, well, because they're around little kids. Accountants, bankers, maybe because they shake hands, and maybe they have trouble laundering money. Radio DJs, doctors, and with that unsettling information, we welcome the germ doctor, Dr. Charles Gerber, who put offices around the country under the microscope, including mine. We'll hear what happened then. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, should I be shaking hands with you, doctor? Aren't I, getting your germs?
Yeah, you're literally handing germs to people every time you shake a hand.
You shouldn't shake hands?
Well, I think it's okay as long as you have frequent hand washing. That's what you really want to practice.
Otherwise, a hug and a kiss will do, right?
Right. Otherwise, I'd be fine.
Well, let's start. You tested workplaces in 5 cities. You took samples from all different kinds of offices. Where are the places where there are the most germs? Where are the least?
Well, the germiest places in offices tend to be the phone, the desktop, the computer mouse, the keyboard.
Everything you use.
Right, everything you're using, because you're touching it all day, and you're basically leaving a trail of germs right behind you.
What's the least?
The least generally is things you don't touch quite as much.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, least on the end of that thing would be pens, for example. People are using computers all the time now.
I would think that toilet seats would have the most germs, in offices, but I hear that's not true.
No, really, in the average desktop, there's about 400 times more bacteria than the average toilet seat, for example. Why? Because people really don't clean their desktop on a regular basis. They leave it to the, other people who don't really touch it because it's personal space. Yeah. And what you need to really do is get in charge of that personal space and practice a few good hygienic habits.
Well, I know that I did not know, but I understand that I was in Los Angeles recently, and people came into my office and tested it and sent you samples. Very sneaky. How did I do?
You really didn't do too bad. You had a fairly clean office, actually, on average. The only thing I'd watch out is the water fountain, because that was really bad.
That's not in my office.
Oh, okay.
No. No. The water fountain in that section is no good?
Well, I wouldn't go near it. There was hundreds of thousands of bacteria in that water fountain. But your phone is actually pretty good, and your office is better than average. Actually, TV media does better than radio. Radio has much germier offices.
That's strange. Why?
Because I don't think people are watching me as closely, maybe, when they're on radio.
That's funny. I wash my hands all the time. Maybe that's why mine is a little cleaner. But in general, a water fountain is something that should be avoided, because most offices have water fountains.
Well, I think people need to pay attention about cleaning them up more often, because they tend to be more germier area than your actual office.
So when you drink from a water fountain, do you have to wash it off first?
No, I don't think so, but I keep your coffee cups clean. We found that coffee cups can be pretty bad in offices, too.
You have to wash them off all the time.
Right. Actually, some of the germiest areas we find on your desktop areas are your coffee cups. And your desktop, of course, too, because people tend to eat at their desk. They're slopping coffee, they're putting sandwiches in there, they turn into a bacteria cafeteria.
Yeah, but before we scare everybody, a little bit of germs isn't so terrible. How bad is this when you looked at offices around the country?
Well, really, some offices are worse than others, as you pointed out, for some reason. School teachers, because there's small children there, kids are bringing in germs. I think what the thing is you're always gambling with germs. And the idea is to keep the odds in your favor. You're not always going to pick up something that's going to make you ill, but you could. And so it's trying to keep your odds in your favor. How do you do that? You practice regular hand washing and use disinfecting wipes on those key areas in your office environment. That's all you really need to do to keep the odds in your favor and not in the germs' favor. Yeah,
we should point out when you talk about disinfectant wipes that the study was sponsored by Clorox, I believe. Was it Clorox?
Yes.
I believe. Yeah. Now, conference rooms. Most offices have conference rooms, but those are particularly germy?
They tend to be less germy than actually your offices, except for remotes and other devices in there you might touch a lot. Generally, they're cleaner areas. In fact, a conference a day may keep the germs away, because we found it to be a lot cleaner than your office.
Okay, so what advice in general? People are watching now, they're going into their office, they're afraid that they're going to walk in and, today and be sick tomorrow. Give us the general advice that people should do ordinarily. Wash hands.
Wash hands. Use disinfectant wipes in key areas, not every area, but those key areas, your phone, your desktop, your computer area. Those are the germ areas. Those are the areas where you're going to leave germs and pick up germs.
I want to get back to the business about shaking hands, because we do that all the time. And I think it was Donald Trump, I heard, who said he doesn't shake hands. And that is something that people do. In general, if you could wipe out shaking hands, would you?
Well, I think it would be better to bow. I think The Orientals
That's
have
why
a
the
good practice.
Japanese don't have germs as much, or something like that, right?
That's right. That's a good
Yeah.
practice, actually, I think. If you're going to shake hands a lot, just remember, wash your hands a lot, because everybody's handing you their germs.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's a pleasure to see you, and heaven knows what you've touched this morning. I appreciate you being with us, Dr. Gerber.
Thank you.